In a world that overlooks women's well-being, how can we expect to have complete equality? I am Ashley Arreguin.
I'm Juan Astorga,
And I'm Valeria Hurtado.
and we are here to discuss the problematic state of women's rights in America with respect to the movements that brought us here.
That's right. As a woman myself, I've always been aware about the fact that we are always overlooked by society, and I've sought to explore with my partners why this is.
To do this, we looked for examples of women's rights being attacked, however small they are, as well as the current feminist movements, both to see exactly how women are treated unequal and how the people are playing a part to this.
Now you may ask, why is this important? Why should half the male population care? Why should women care? And most importantly, why should you care? Well, ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that women are an integral part of society, we are constantly being undermined on the small attacks against our rights ultimately attack our economic, social, and mental safety.
And although women today have the most amount of freedom in American history, challenges against their rights, such as the push towards abortion restriction, ultimately undermine their security in more ways than their intended measure. This is why feminism is so important, despite the fact that some people don't see it as such.
One example that we found that demonstrates how women's rights are being infringed upon is the ongoing movement towards restricting women's ability to have an abortion.
Abortions have always been a very divisive topic between communities, with several people often finding moral arguments against their existence.
That's exactly the case. However, this movement has always been inherently political, and there's been a recent court case that pushed to limit women's access to abortions. This attack against abortions was the Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization court case. An article I found by Bethany G. Everett and Catherine Taylor contextualizes this.
I read that too. It said that the court case led to the Supreme Court overturning their legal precedents, which resulted in several states banning abortion. In my opinion, abortion is a necessity for women, and it benefits the lives of women in the sense that it opens many opportunities for all women to thrive in the world.
Yes, Valeria, I definitely agree with you on abortion being a top necessity for women in this world, no matter the situation. As for you, JC, the Supreme Court case is a great example to use. I mean, if we don't have the control over our bodies, who's to say we have control over our own lives?
Exactly.
Which is why the article by Everett and Taylor is so important to me. This article itself was an evaluation of two studies which the authors themselves conducted, where they took two different groups of young women in America and gave longitudinal studies from 2001 to 2018, where they each asked questions about their status in school, financial security, their job security, with respect to their access to abortion. But the main difference between those was that one group of women were not directly pregnant, but the other group were either have been pregnant or had abortions.
While at first this may seem like a minor issue, certain states banning abortion would surely only discourage pregnancies by unwilling parties, right? Well, no, because as the result of these studies show, women with less access to abortions tend to drop out of their current enrollment, have less luxurious jobs, and have less financial security.
You know, that does make sense when you think about it, because why do you think there are so many women who haven't been able to fulfill a complete education? Why they are working low-paying jobs, why they are not able to fully provide for themselves? It's because of the lack of available abortions.
Well, if there's anything that should be taken away from this, it's that the struggles of women, no matter how insignificant they may seem to the larger demographic, affects them in a way that they might not have expected. In my eyes, the most obvious solution would be to not only allow for abortion to be held in each state, but to also accept and acknowledge the feedback of the community. In the grand scheme of things, access to abortions is a really minor issue that won't affect the entire population, let alone every woman. But limiting people's access is really indicative of not either acknowledging the struggles or the needs of the people.
That's so true, JC. It's similar to the academic world. Women are constantly pushed out if not turned away because we are brought down to a term such as feminism that is too complex to associate with, such as politics. Therefore, having no investment in American women's identity, failing to ask questions as to why women struggle, what race, gender, or sexuality of women are undermined most.
I low-key love your take on this. I mean, feminist law journals are so complex within themselves in scholarly institutions such as politics, which is severely overrun by men who just don't understand what the opposite gender is.
Oh my God, seriously, why would a man be there? No offense, JC, of course, but I literally never thought of it that way. I mean, when I think of feminism, I automatically assume that it includes all of us women, and it's the only thing that ties us together. When in reality, many women are excluded from the definition politics already overlooks.
I'm glad we are seeing eye to eye, which brings me to my point of two different ways to look at feminism. That is through interdisciplinary and intersectional. Both of these definitions contribute to evaluating feminism in order to gain understanding from the academic world, because the term is deemed biased. To go more into depth, Form, Function, and Feminist Law Journals by Jane S. Schachter actually covers these definitions and evaluates them themselves.
You know, it's funny how the academic world works, such as politics, who have no problem sticking their nose in abortion rights. But when it comes to looking at it in a feminist manner, suddenly it's biased. I'm sorry? Are you the one going into labor? If not, I do not want your opinion, dog.
No, because for real, like, how is someone gonna tell us what to do with our bodies when they don't even know what it's like for a women's point of view? If anything, the academic world doesn't do well with critiques, which is literally biased within itself.
That brings me to my source, Jane S. Schachter, who actually evaluated and had personal experience with working with feminist journals. Now, for those of you who don't know what feminist journals are, they are journals that are dedicated to critical analysis of the law from a feminist lens. Schachter evaluated the understanding of intersectional and interdisciplinary, which mean combining areas of different study areas and the concept of overlapping social identities, that recognizes various forms of oppression women face that overlap that can't be addressed alone. Overall, creating a conversation between the law and gender to create equitable legal principles.
Whoa, I had no idea that these journals even existed. I am really shocked that you brought this into our presentation. I really love it. From the sound of it, I feel like that these journals also strive to capture not only the complex conversations, but the relationships that women have with the law that have been really toxic for the longest time.
It's honestly really sad when you think about it, knowing that the system that is supposed to protect you often overlooks you because of your gender. It's comforting that feminist law journals exist outside of the system to critique, and that their challenge is to inhibit the space self-consciously to keep asking who they serve, how, and why.
I just really wish that there was an alternative to this issue that shouldn't even be occurring in the first place. I mean, isn't the whole point of the academic world to expand their knowledge from other points of views? Why are we limiting it to why are we limit women's points of views, bro?
I'm really glad you brought this up, JC. Luckily, I have a solution of my own, and that is to create a program that sends women scholars to different institutions around the world, like universities, to share their work and lead short-term or even long-term projects. Seeing these women teach, present, and collaborate in different places would help challenge old assumptions about who counts as an expert. As more people regularly hear from and work with women researchers, they can begin to view them as strong leaders in their fields. Over time, this repeated visibility would help change how women are seen in the academics.
Speaking of a system that overlooks you because of your gender, did y'all know that despite working for a lifetime, caring for others, and contributing to a community, by the time women reach old age, they are more likely to live in poverty just for the reason of being their gender? As a woman, this fact is very saddening.
Hold on a second. Wait, no, that can't not be real. Can you, explain yourself, please?
No, wait, for real? Oh my.
That's right. It's very true. Millions of women in America, especially women of color, this is the honest truth. According to Colette V. Brown, Jeanette C. Takamura, and Jin Young Seo, in their article, Global Gender Inequality, Older Women and the Call for Change in the United States, they state older women had a higher poverty rate than older men, older Hispanic, and older African American women who live alone. Imagine how infuriating that is. One of the reasons you're probably stuck in poverty is because of your gender.
Oh wow, you have a lot of numbers there that are really infuriating. But what are the main reasons for this?
Well, Ashley, I'm glad you asked. The reason for this type of stuff to happen is based on many different factors, like gender pay gaps, discrimination, disproportionate caregiving responsibilities, and most of it is just being a stigma.
What kind of stigma?
I think that she means that there's a stigma against women, like they are expected to take on a lower paying jobs because they are these expectations society wants women to meet. Like they shouldn't be working because a man is supposed to provide, which is really stupid because how we are now in the 21st century and people are still thinking about women like this.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
On God, viewers, let this be a lesson to learn. Never rely on a man again. No offense, JC.
Don't worry, you're fine.
But yeah, there's so many accounts of this happening since freaking forever, which is most likely the reason women are still viewed like this, because men look back on this and are like, what happened? Why aren't women like this anymore? And it's really set us back by many years. It's so sad. So, ladies, get that degree and prove these men wrong.
It would be absolutely amazing to see so many more women in men's fields.
On that note, Thank you guys for tuning in this wonderful podcast of ours. As always, it's a pleasure. I'm Ashley Arreguin, signing out.
We really hope that we've given you guys a lot of new perspectives and ideas to think about. I'm JC Astorga, signing out.
And remember, ladies and gents, of course, stay safe. Don't be afraid to call out anyone when they're trying to discriminate against you. Valeria Hurtado, signing out.
Thank you guys.